Hello, I'm back. So I have a response to a specific comment in the last video about construction, right? And the video was very great. A lot of people had wonderful comments, and I thought it was super fun to be able to interact with every single person that was willing to listen to me rant for about 8 minutes, right? But there was a specific comment that I think brought up a very good point, right? Because a lot of beginners, I believe, view it this way. And I want to give a response because not only will it, I think, make my argument more clear on where I stand, but it will also kind of, I think, just straighten out that rambling that I had. And I also wrote it down. So it's going to sound like I'm reading from a script because I am reading from a script, okay? But first, we're going to look at his comment. So this was his comment. My problem with your advice is this. When I hear a new method explained by an experienced artist, I assume that it might take some time before I become comfortable with it. If it doesn't work instantly, it must be because I haven't practiced enough. The method itself must be valid because someone else has been able to produce great work with it, and there has to be a good reason why he does things a certain way. How am I supposed to trust my own judgment over that of a master? That specific question we're going to answer later on. And maybe it's also a bit of an intellectual laziness on my part. I don't want to think about how to do things differently. Okay, so to start off, I do want to answer this bottom part. And maybe it's also a bit of intellectual laziness on my part. I don't want to think about how to do things differently. Okay, so before I answer the rest of the comment, I do want to answer the last part, which is this intellectual laziness. There's nothing wrong with being intellectually lazy. What I think you mean to say is that you might be uncomfortable with thinking about other methods, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people tend to default to what is comfortable. Why do you think I don't draw backgrounds in a lot of my pieces? It's because there's an uncomfortability and there's a part where I have to progress. That is specifically an uncomfortable part that I will have to learn how to progress. But there's nothing wrong with staying comfortable for some amount of time, because if you try to tackle everything and step outside that uncomfortable zone every single time, that's what leads to burnout, drainage, stuff that isn't very fun. And if you're doing art and you're not really enjoying the process of making art and you're constantly uncomfortable, what's really the point in doing so? So before we fully begin, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with defaulting to what is comfortable. But just please remember that once you're at your most confident, once you can, try to step away, try to step out of that zone and progress little by little. Baby steps. No need for leaps. All right, so with that answered, I'm now going to read my response to his comment, okay? And I'm not the best reader, so I might make a mistake here or there, but let's begin. To start, let us agree art tutorials are an amazing way to start your art journey. Learning about something is always easier when those more knowledgeable can guide you and create a starting point. The video I made before was not to discredit art tutorials or state that creators don't have good judgment, but to warn about the over-reliance on tutorials and the blind trust that another artist's method is more suitable than one of your own experimentation. It is my experience that many beginner artists try for prolonged periods of time a singular method, believing that the method of this artist must work and that they must be executing the method poorly, ignoring the possibility that maybe the method isn't suited for them. This doesn't mean the video or artist you obtained it from was wrong. It just means these set of instructions don't work for you. Maybe it is just a portion of it, so just one particular shape, or it is the instructions in its entirety. But it is important to remind yourself that even if they are a great artist, they are on a screen, far away, giving you advice that will be heard by millions. You are not a singular student who he can critique personally, so you will always have more insight in what works for you than a master who doesn't even know your name. Tutorials are a great place to start, but the progress on your own art and your own methods is up to you. So don't be tied down by tutorials, or in the last video's case, the same construction method. What I am essentially trying to say, and what I'm trying to answer right here, how am I supposed to trust my own judgment over that of a master, is because you are the only one technically there judging what you're making. The guy on the video does not have the ability to reach out of the screen and actually look at your particular work, right? He can't go to you and say, hey, this particular bone structure, the construction you're using for the bone structure of the knee right here isn't very good. Or, hey, your fingers right here, you're trying to draw your fingers from the palm side with 2 joints instead of 3 joints. right? While if you look at the backside, most artists who draw stylized use 2 joints for the backside and 3 joints for the palm side. They can't give you specific advice, and you shouldn't be generally applying all advice given to a wide variety of artists. Because remember, these tips are for artists generally, general artists, a large group of artists, a undefined, unknown amount, unnamed group of artists. They're not for you. They're not specifically for you. And the only way to create a method that you know will work for you is by self-experimentation and trial and error. Hopefully that is helpful for you. And hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for listening to my reply. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take good care.